Glitchtrap, the anomaly, the virus, Malhare, the mimic, maybe even William Afton. Regardless of what you call it, this digital man in a bunny suit has confused the FNAF community since his very first appearance in FNAF Help Wanted, and still continues to confuse the community to this day. With the arrival of the mimic in the books and latest game, Glitchtrap's latest appearance in Help Wanted 2, the mystery of this character and his origins have been at an all-time high, and while many people have attempted to solve Glitchtrap and his creation, none have been successful. Until today. That's right, tailwaggers, you read that title. The FNAF community has been wrong about Glitchtrap for years, and I have finally solved it. Ahoy there, tailwaggers, my name is Tori, and you are watching me. This is my channel, and you're watching it. Welcome. Before we get into the theory, I'd like to politely ask you to like the video. If you end up not enjoying the video, you can always change your mind and undo it later. And don't worry about subscribing. Trust me, I will earn your subscription by the end of the video. And now, on with the theory. For this theory to make sense, I'd like to give a quick recap of Glitchtrap. I promise we'll need it later. Releasing in May of 2019, Steel will release the official FNAF VR game, Help Wanted. What at first seemed to be a VR recreation of Five Nights at Freddy's was soon revealed to be instead an in-universe game, the Freddy Fazbear Virtual Experience. We play as a beta tester Vanessa A, likely for the, at the time, current development team Silver Parasol Games. We find and collect glitchy tapes around the game, and as we do so, a man in a spring bonnie costume begins to appear behind us in the hub world. Through these glitchy tapes we meet TapGirl, a previous beta tester for the studio that came before us. She had discovered Glitchtrap showing up around the game.
I saw it for the first time today. There was a character I couldn't make out who it was, standing at the end of the hall. I thought it was just bugged out, so I made a note of it and kept playing.
And dubbed him the Anomaly. Her co-worker Jeremy had seen Glitchtrap too and was presumably driven insane. TapGirl recorded the tapes to help warn the next dev team on both Glitchtrap, but also Fazbear's attempts to use this new game to cover up their past. However, we learn that Glitchtrap managed to attach itself to these tapes, and so TapGirl split them up across the map in order to also split up Glitchtrap's code.
I effectively broke the files into pieces, and broke the anomaly along with it. That means that you won't have my warnings to guide you, but hopefully, it also means that this anomaly, this virus, or whatever it is, will remain broken and unable to do more damage.
Explaining why the tapes glitch when we find them. Glitchtrap's code is literally attached to them. We are initially told to collect the tapes, however upon collecting them all it is revealed that the tapes were not in order and that TapGirl never wanted us to collect the tapes in the first place, as doing so would also put Glitchtrap's code back together, and that's exactly what we do. In one of the main endings, Glitchtrap successfully takes over and Vanessa is locked in her own mind, setting up the events of both FNAF AR and Security Breach. Okay, recap over, onto the theory. Since this game first released, who or what Glitchtrap is has been heavily debated in the community. However, with the release of the Tales from the Pizzaplex book series, the most popular theory is that Glitchtrap was some form of the Mimic 1 program created by Edwin Murray. Why? Well, not only does Glitchtrap act and look a lot like William Afton, but it also mimics TapGirl's voice in the hub world.
Hello? Can you hear me?
While Secret of the Mimic proves the books are not canon, Edwin and some variation of the Mimic program still is. There's the Mimic Endo that can copy and mimic any character and costume, the M1 program that seems to mimic Fiona Murray, and the M2 program that at least at some point seemed to mimic their son David Murray. We know that Glitchtrap in some way was created by Fazbear scanning old circuit boards to speed up the process of making the Fazbear virtual experience. As TapGirl says she heard from Jeremy that Glitchtrap only started appearing after these circuit boards were scanned, insinuating that those circuit boards is where it originated from. Additionally, after completing 10 challenges in Help Wanted, Hand Unit will state that they used vintage control boards to recreate personalities from the past. Is that not exactly what M1 and M2 do? They're both versions of the Mimic program, one that replicates Fiona, and the other that replicates David. Two personalities from the past. So it's simple, right? If the circuit board scanned was some version of the Mimic program, and Glitchtrap appeared after they were scanned, then everything Glitchtrap does would make sense. It's mimicking what it sees, and more importantly, replicating a personality from the past, William Afton, right? Well, there's one issue with this theory. This is not Glitchtrap. That's right, person watching this video, I do not believe that this is Glitchtrap. In fact, I know it isn't. In order for me to easier explain what I mean by this, going forward I will be referring to this model specifically as the Spring Bonnie Man, and this, the virus TapGirl mentions that we encounter throughout the game, as the Anomaly. So why do I believe that this isn't Glitchtrap? Well, when you get taken over by the Anomaly in this ending, it is turned into this glitchy Spring Bonnie plush. If you continue to play the game after this, you will never see the Anomaly again. Unless you erase your game data or delete and reinstall the game, you cannot turn this plushie back into the Anomaly. It is simply not possible. And yet, despite this, if you replay and beat Pizza Party, the Spring Bonnie Man will still be there, completely unaffected. Not only that, you can reach the Pizza Party minigame without collecting a single tape, meaning this Spring Bonnie Man physically cannot be the Anomaly. It is simply not possible. Want more proof? In the files, we find a Springlock Spring Bonnie suit model that we know was intended for the Pizza Party level, meaning that this Spring Bonnie Man was originally intended to be the regular Spring Bonnie Springlock suit. And why does this matter? Well, because this model seems to have only been intended for Pizza Party and nowhere else. On top of this, in the files, there is an untextured Springtrap model labeled Glitchtrap, meaning at some point the Anomaly was going to be modelled after Springtrap, while the character in Pizza Party, the Spring Bonnie Man, would be a regular Spring Bonnie, drawing a clear, distinct line between these two iterations of Glitchtrap. This isn't Glitchtrap. It never was. The fact that this Pizza Party Spring Bonnie can be seen before any tapes are found, plus the fact that it stays accessible when the Anomaly is gone, clearly shows that this is not the Anomaly at all. It is an intentional part of the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience. It is Spring Bonnie. The Anomaly is not in Pizza Party, and the Anomaly did not make the Spring Bonnie Man model. It is simply an intentional part of the in-universe VR game. The Pizza Party ending is an intentionally created ending for the in-universe game as well. When we realize this fact, suddenly the rest of what the Anomaly does makes complete sense. If the Anomaly is a copy of the Mimic program, everything it does is completely within its programming. Its hobbled ambience isn't replicating TapGirl's logs, it's mimicking her voice. Even its idle animation is just a choppy version of the Spring Bonnie Man's wave animation from Pizza Party, mimicking its animation. And perhaps the biggest detail of them all, the Anomaly's entire appearance until the very end of the game is a green visor-looking copy of the Spring Bonnie Man model. This is not the first time we've seen something like this. In FNAF World, there is a character named Virtua Freddy. It's a green visor-looking version of the Adventure Freddy model that has an identical attack animation. Sound familiar? Well, it should. And when in FNAF World do we see Virtua Freddy? Only for a second when a specific move is used. And what is that move called? The move is called Mimic Ball. All of the evidence I've presented leads us to a few conclusions. Firstly, that the Anomaly has to be some kind of copy or branch of the Mimic program. All the details line up, and the Anomaly being the Mimic program gives us a perfect explanation for everything it does in the game. However, this evidence also tells us something else, something I don't think anyone else has really spoken about. It tells us that Glitchtrap, the Anomaly, was never mimicking William Afton. It is only mimicking the Spring Bonnie Man in the Pizza Party minigame. The suit model already existed, and the animations and behaviour were already present in the Pizza Party minigame. The vague Spring Bonnie Man personality of the past was readily available for Glitchtrap without William Afton getting so much as a mention. All it had to do was mimic what it saw. So there you have it. Glitchtrap is likely the Mimic, and it was never truly mimicking William Afton, but rather the Yellow Rabbit persona that the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience presented through the Spring Bonnie Man character. I'm aware the second half of this theory may have some evidence against it, such as Glitchtrap literally saying, "I always come back" in Help Wanted's mobile port, but for the most part I'd say that this interpretation is pretty solid and simply makes the most sense with the evidence and facts that we have so far. A common issue I've seen in the community when discussing Glitchtrap, which is a big reason I wanted to talk about it, is that most people tend to forget that Help Wanted is an in-universe game. They make a lot of kind of unnecessary connections, such as the stains on Glitchtrap's suit maybe being a reference to Edwin's tears when beating the Mimic, or the felt look of the suit potentially being made by the Mimic program itself as a reference to Murray's costume manner. But a lot of these connections people make fail to acknowledge that, at least from the evidence Help Wanted presents, Glitchtrap had no hand in the design of that spring body model at all. While these could still be intentional parallels and references put in by Steelwall, they can't really have any lore significance because, again, the spring body model is made by Fazbear Entertainment specifically for the VR game. Glitchtrap doesn't make it, all Glitchtrap does is mimic it. So what do you think? Do you agree with my theory? Or do you have your own interpretation? Maybe you're still not sure. Whatever it may be, let me know by commenting down below because I read every single one and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe if you think I earned it, and I will see you at some point, I'm sure. Bye-bye for now.